Hi. So I believe that everybody should reach a point in their career where they have non negotiables whenever they're choosing a job. And it depends on what you feel like. Some people's non negotiables are the working hours, some people's non negotiables are location, and some people's non negotiables are salaries. So today we are going to talk about one of those things that I think more and more people are making this a non-negotiable for them, and that's hybrid or remote working. So welcome to the channel. Welcome to Life's Little Secrets. So happy New Year. My name is Mercy, and I hope you are having a lovely day because I am having a very, very lovely year. So I am dressed the way I dress when I'm working from home, which is basically in something extremely comfortable and something very, very inappropriate, which is my very nice warm. This thing is really warm. My apartment is freezing. I don't know why, but it's freezing. So I'm wearing this really warm thing that was given to me by a very, very, very awesome friend. Um, yeah, so it was my nice Christmas present and I love it. I'm wearing it almost every time I'm in the house now. I need to get a second pair. And the second, as opposed to this, what I wear when I'm in the office. So those days when I'm working from home, I have the luxury of wearing very, very comfortable clothes and I don't have to dress up and it's just more fun to be relaxed. However, I really like dressing up. I really like putting on nice outfits, partly because I have them, and secondly because I have lost weight and I finally fit into clothes that I had bought when I was hoping to lose weight, or clothes that I had forgotten that I had. And so I'm enjoying that. So my reasons for wanting to go into the office are actually quite vain. It's I like dressing up, and yeah, I'm not going to dress up to sit in the house. I don't like that. And the second thing is the fact that I'm quite an extrovert, and sitting in the house the whole day would drive me nuts. That is what happened during COVID. I just felt really alone because I need people. I need to see people. And I remember when we were finally allowed to hug, I was walking around asking, are you hugging yet? It was just really nice. Yeah, so yeah, I also follow rules, so whether the rules make sense or not, well, I do it. Okay, so hybrid working, how did we get to this? Let's try and remember, for those who've been working for more than 5 years, how life used to be before 2020. So a long time ago, before 2020, we used to go to the office 5 days a week, 6 days a week for those who work 6 days. um Some companies already had hybrid working where a few days a week you could work from home, but I don't think it was, I think it was possible, but you couldn't, it wasn't advisable, or it was only possible in case of you're traveling or in case of something, but it was not the norm. But most companies did not. However, people in IT and companies that have a lot of remote offices. They've been doing this for a long time. And so this used to be a thing that people used to actually go into the office every single day. And that is part of the reason why in cities you have a lot of office buildings and you have a lot of, so for those who live in places like Geneva, New York, places with public transport, what happens is you have rush hour traffic and you have all these frequent buses and trains and trams around the morning hours and the evening hours to allow for all these people who are going into the office and all these people who are coming back. So this used to actually be a thing. And I remember one time in 2016, I had an interview, and and I remember being told during the interview that yes, there were a few people who could remote work, but that was most, the admin staff could not, because you need to be in the office for you to be able to do your job. And of course now, but that was the first time I had heard of that. It was my first time ever working as an admin. And I think, well, for me, I didn't even think there was a possibility of working from home. So It had been brought up, but I was like, okay, fine, but it still didn't make sense to me. Why would I want to work from home? Why would I want to carry my laptop from the office to take it home? So what used to happen was we just used to go into the office, finish your work, close your laptop, leave it there, and go home. So that feels like 100 years ago now. It doesn't feel like it's 5 years ago. Then at some point I moved to a different organization, and there was a bit more workload and a bit more responsibilities that I had now at that new job. And sometimes it necessitated me having to carry my laptop home, partly because I needed to be home for my child. So I could not do the extra long hours. Some people used to leave the office really late. I could not do that. So for me to be able to catch up with whatever it is that I needed to do, sometimes I used to carry. However, I remember very well there were things that I could not do because um, even with the VPN, there were things that I couldn't open. I think like the finance stuff I could not open. There were just things that could not open. Later on with the VPN, they could, but I remember when I started, it was impossible to open some of these things from my home Wi-Fi. So I just used to know what I need to do. Like I would go and prepare memos when I'm at home, and stuff like that. So which was not a good. It was not a good thing because it just shows that you have more work that you can do during the normal 8 hours you're supposed to be doing it. But I think at that time was just eager to please. However, when COVID came, of course, people started working from home, and then we learned quite a bit about ourselves, and we learned about just work-life balance, and people learned that, oh, I don't need to be in the office every day. I can actually do quite a lot more when I'm at home. I tend to do a lot more work when I'm at home because two things. One, there's less interruption. There's nobody who's going to come to my desk to ask me for things. When I'm in the office, I learn more about stuff because there are people always, dropping in, asking me stuff. I'm always eavesdropping on people when they're talking. And so I get to learn a lot more stuff, which is what I like about going to the office. But when I have like a tight deadline, I prefer to work from home because then I can just focus on it. I can just really, really just sit and focus on it. The second thing is, for me, working from home, the convenience is the fact that I have a work table, a worktop that has all my stuff in it. So I can put my things and arrange them properly. And so I know what I'm doing. I can put my sticky notes on the desk, and so it's convenient for me, and I can just remember, well, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, and I don't have to have everything digital in this case. This is not the case when I'm working from the office, because when I'm working from the office, we hot desk. So everything you have, the only things that I can have in the office are things that I absolutely need, and they're things that I have to remove at the end of the day and put them in my locker. So it is nice because then I get to sit with different people, different days. I never know who's going to be sitting next to me. I can change where I'm sitting and enjoy different views, and it feels like being in a whole different environment. And if I'm like collaborating, when I'm collaborating with somebody from a different team, I can actually choose to just sit with them, and then it's easier for us. So it's easy for quite a lot of reasons, as opposed to when you're working from home. But then there is quite a lot of offices. There are quite a lot of offices that have started insisting that people have to come back fully to the office. And so there are many reasons for this. Most people are saying that this is just, some bosses are just micromanagers and they don't believe you're working unless they see you there. There are other people who believe that maybe it's just, business decisions. These offices are being paid for, so they would like to actually see human beings in them. So then the others would say that it's for tax reasons, and the others just it's for infrastructure. Companies are being, there are quite a lot of businesses that are closing down because they used to rely on the traffic of the people from those companies, and now there's nobody from those companies. So there's quite a lot of there are quite a lot of reasons, I would say, that people give for what happens, and why. So um, for me, I think that the one thing that I would say might be reason that I can understand, it would be employers just saying that they are paying you, and if you are not, okay, if you're working from the same city, it makes sense because they've calculated your salary based on your city where you're living. But then there are people who take it an extra step and even work from abroad. So they don't even work in the country that they are considered to be working in. For example, I'm Kenyan, so of course there's a home in Kenya, somewhere that I can live, but I work in Geneva and I'm paid a Geneva salary, which is different from a Kenyan salary. Living standards are different from the two countries. So if I was to decide that for one full year I'm going to live in Kenya, I mean, in this case, I would probably have to pay two rents, which would not make sense. But um, if I like left my life in Geneva and went to live in Kenya and still continued getting the Geneva salary, that would be a bit of what I would consider as a good reason for employers to refuse uh, that people can work from home or work from abroad. So, working from home and working from abroad are two different things. Working from home, in most companies and organizations, it just means you're working within a certain number of kilometers from where your office is. So, if I if I work in Geneva and I'm living either in neighboring France or in somewhere within commutable distance of the office, that is considered working from home. Then if I live in a whole other, if I live in Paris and I'm working in Geneva, that's considered working from abroad, because it's not you cannot, well, you can technically commute, but it's not a realistic commute that you can do. And so I was watching quite a lot of videos during my break on this, because somehow it came on my feed about the UK people complaining about how the government officials, people working for the government, were working from abroad. And this one was actually allowed. They had to ask for it, and it was approved. And some of them had been working, like, you work from Barbados for 2 years or something like that. And people were finding it unfair because, one, they were saying that the quality and the the quality of work is dropping, because when you work from the office, there are things that you do and there are things that you can't do. Like, I work from home one day a week, and the one day a week that I work from home, um, sometimes, well, when my kids are there, you will see them walking behind me when you're in a call, or you will see something happening, or so all these small things, there's a difference. There's a difference in the quality of things that you do. So can you imagine? My job mostly consists of sitting around writing PowerPoints, proofreading messages, forwarding emails. So my job is not a lot on teleconferencing. However, can you imagine if I was in meetings all day and that was my job, to be answering calls, to be available, and the whole day people can hear my son and my daughter arguing in the background? It would be a bit inconveniencing. Granted, you can also have a job in an office and people are arguing in the background, but it's more understandable when you can hear adults arguing in the background, as opposed to hearing my son going, "Mama, I want coffee." And then, there was a whole thread about all the weird things that people have had other people's kids saying during conference calls. So I'm just saying that it's different. Okay, so I can understand why some people would feel, especially when you're expecting a government service, you do not want to feel as if your request is not being taken seriously. And many times, can you imagine if you're calling and it's something very serious, like you're reporting insurance fraud or something like that, and on the other hand, you're feeling like the person you're talking to is not even taking your thing seriously. But it's not because they're not taking it seriously; it's just because that's how you're assuming based on the reception that you're getting. Okay, so that's how I got into starting to listen to this, and I think the reality of it is, for me, when it comes to working from home or not working from home, I think that is a very one of those things that have become non-negotiable for some people. And for me, it is one of those things that has become actually quite non-negotiable. I do not want to work. I go to the office most days. If I can go 5 days a week, I would go 5 days a week. However, I like the idea that when I have, during the cold season, which is when I use my work from home days the most, when I have a cold and I'm not too sick to take the day off, at least I have the option of just working from home, because I also don't want to go and start getting people sick. That's how you have an office where everybody is always sick, because you just keep circulating the virus. So I think that is one of the biggest advantages that I feel came out of this flexible hybrid working arrangements, because now I feel like I have that option and I don't and for me it's a huge plus. The other thing is, when I have appointments like doctor's appointments and things like that, I can actually arrange my calendar around doctor's appointments, and the days that I'm working from home, just put a few of them in nice places so that I have the ability to either start early or finish late without it having to inconvenience me a lot. And then I can use whatever time that I use normally for commute to catch up on the time on the things that I was supposed to do. Because sadly, Geneva, well, sadly, Switzerland, it's a plus and a minus. Most things operate only during business hours. So if you're working full time, it's very hard for you to even get time to like get doctor's appointments, lab things, and all that. So um, all these are, I mean, everything has a plus and a negative side, which is why I'm not even going pros and then cons. I'm just mixing them all together, because what is a pro for me is a con for somebody else. Like an employer is probably listening to me saying that way I can arrange my appointments around meetings, and the person is like, I'm not paying you to go see your doctor. But then me going to see my doctor makes sure that I'm healthy. I've gotten my checkups. I do not have to worry about taking half a day off so that I can go and see a doctor, and yet I can still get 8 hours of work done. You see? So it's one of those catch-22 things, right? Okay. So having said that, many companies have decided enough is enough, and many companies are starting this push of going fully back to work, which has been done. It keeps coming up, and then it stops, and then it starts again, and then it stops. And I feel like in 2025, the economy in many countries has shifted to the employers actually have the upper hand, because quite a lot of people are laid off in 2023, 2024. There was quite a lot of layoffs that happened in especially the tech industry, in quite a lot of places. And so the employers in many economies actually have the upper hand right now. And I feel like in 2025, it's one of those things that we have to worry about. You have to worry about your employer all of a sudden deciding, in COVID, they were forcing all of us, even when people did not want to work from home, we were all being told you have to go and work from home. And now all of a sudden, working from home is not a good thing. And it's so unfair, because some people just felt like, come on, now finally Some people moved houses. People who had roommates decided, okay, we can't both live and work at the same time. So many people moved out. Many people converted parts of their apartments and parts of their houses to a workstation. Many people invested in screens and just basically having a real isolated place that they can work. And then all of a sudden, now you want to tell them to do what with that space? And it's so unfair, especially to somebody who got a job and the job promised hybrid working. When I was looking for a job in 2020, end of 2023, one of the things that I was applying to everything. However, one of the things that were making me accept or reject an interview was if they mentioned, if they said that it was fully work from the office. I accept 1 day remote working, but I do not accept 100% working from the office. I can do without the work from abroad. I don't really need that. I can do without even the work from home. I can do without it. I just want to have that option so that when I need it, it's there. I don't have to start asking for it, start begging for it, because most of the time, if they don't have it, they don't even have the tools for you to be able to do it. And I don't understand where these tools went to, because during COVID, every company all of a sudden had these tools in 5 minutes. Now almost every meeting is hybrid. I just don't understand where all of a sudden all these tools disappeared to. And if it's that story that they want to start giving of it's better for team cohesion and all that, mm, yeah, but then also it's one thing when people actually want to work from there. It's quite another when they're being forced. Because if people are being forced, the bullies will come there just to bully people. If people want to come, then it's going to be a more interesting, and it's the people who want to collaborate who will be doing a lot more of being in the office. The people who do not want to collaborate will not come. So it's I feel like it's one of those things. Give people the option and then they do it. And if you hired somebody with a promise that it's, and then the funny thing, they don't even give you a pay rise. They don't even, because if you hired me and told me it's fully remote and I'm working from home, I accepted that pay, knowing that I have zero commute, knowing that I'm eating lunch from my house, knowing that I do not have to pay for a dog walker. I do, I don't have any extra commute in the evening, so I don't have to pay somebody to pick up my child. There's just all these extra costs that come with that. And if somebody has like daycare, they're looking for daycare near where they live, right? Because you've been told you're fully remote. So now I have to change the daycare again, go through integrating the child and all that. So there's quite a lot when you told somebody that the job was going to be remote, and then all of a sudden now you want to change it. How fair is that? But anyway, again, I say 2025 is the year of the employers. So let's just hope that this works. Now, in the comment section, I don't usually ask questions, but if you're watching this and you have a thought one way or another on this, I'm genuinely curious. Do you prefer working from home or do you prefer working from the office? Which one makes more sense to you? Which one have you become more adaptable to? So let me know and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.